I'm not an overly big fan of imprinting. I think imprinting, if it's done properly, is a good thing, but most of the time it gets overdone, and what it ends up becoming is a numbing process that we're going to have to deal with in a different way when the horses are older. Yes, you can catch them horses, and yes, you can handle them, and yes, you can handle their legs, but you know, you just got to be real careful. I mean, if you find yourself just overdoing anything, it's probably not good with a baby. Hi, Dennis here, Cappel Training and Chewing. The video you're getting ready to watch is me catching this colt and putting a halter on, and I do want you to know that my beautiful wife noticed that my halter has got a little bit of a loose tab on the front of it. Stuff like that don't matter to me. I don't pay attention to it. I just go on and do the job. I picked this halter because it was soft. I picked it because I can put a knot or two in it that'll draw it down tight enough to where it'll fit these little babies. I don't care that there's a piece flapping. I'll do her a favor and I'll remove that flap. So if we do this video again, we're gonna have to torture her by watching my equipment look tacky. So, but anyway, you're gonna see that an approach to catching and halter breaking. This colt is only had a halter on him a couple times, and from the time he was born, he was handled a little bit, and then wormed one time on the mare, and that's all the handling he's had. And you can see that he's over there pretty happy. I think you're really going to enjoy this video. Watch closely to when his feet move. Watch when slack comes in the lead rope. Watch my positioning, and realize that I'm looking for an opportunity for this horse to seek me out. And when this horse starts seeking me out, that I arrange it so that this horse feels complete release. So anyway, have fun with that. Thank you. I'm here with a mare and foal that the foal is by my stallion, One Brilliant Desire. The mare is kind of an interesting case. She's sired by a horse that I trained 30 years ago. So she's kind of a blast from the past, and his name was Smoking Gun Johnny. So this is my breeding program here, and I'm real proud of this colt. But what I wanted to show you today is how I handle these babies. There's more than one way to skin a cat, you know. So don't think this is the only way. This is a way, and this is not the only way that I do it myself. But I'm not an overly big fan of imprinting. I think imprinting, if it's done properly, is a good thing, but most of the time it gets overdone, and what it ends up becoming is a numbing process that we're going to have to deal with in a different way when the horses are older. Yes, you can catch them horses, and yes, you can handle them, and yes, you can handle their legs, but you know, you just got to be real careful. I mean, if you find yourself just overdoing anything, it's probably not good with a baby. So anyway, this way is, you notice I've got a rope in my hand, and we're in a pretty small area, and we're here. The mare is in the pen here with us, and you don't have to be able to rope to do this, but you know what, because you don't want to come in there whirligigging that rope above your head. You know, that just stirs things up. So I'm gonna try to slip this rope on as easily as I possibly can. Now this colt has had maybe just a little bit of handling. He had some handling when he was first born, and he's been wormed a time in between there. So he hasn't had a lot of handling, but the handling that he has had, and this is key, the handling that he has had has been effective. It has been done in a way that he found out that getting quiet was what, you know, what the best solution was. So anyway, I'm gonna just position myself here. If I just, you know, can get that rope just over his head, when I my thought process, my clear mental picture here is to have this rope on this colt, but not have the rope tight. And so I'm not thinking about trying to catch him and hold him. If you rope these babies and try to catch them and hold them, they'll just flip around like a fish out of water. So that's not going to help. Now we'll just keep setting it up here, and it'll arrange itself to where we can get this rope on there fairly easily. Help to have him separated. You'll find that you've got a place where you're probably best at being able to toss this rope at one. I don't have a particular shot that I'm looking for, just an opportunity. So the rope is on him, and he's just seeking refuge there behind his mother right now. And I'm just letting both of them just mill around. I'm not trying to hold him, not trying to do anything yet, just wanting this colt to get comfortable feeling that rope, because that rope essentially right now is me touching him. So he's getting the opportunity here to feel me from this distance touching him. Now he's come in for a landing, so I'm going to start getting him. Well, by that I mean he went over and stopped. He's you know, I'm going to start becoming a little more involved here now. Try to put just a little pressure on him. He's liable to take off behind her on the other side, and I need to be ready to let rope slide if he does. Okay, he's up there. Anytime this colt looks at me, right there, he's in complete release. When he looks away, I put a little tension on the rope, but when he looked back at me right there, there was instantaneous and complete release. Now he's standing there just looking at me. So I made it more difficult for him to turn away, and I made it easier for him to look at me. I'm going to put just a little bit of pressure on here now. That was what I was looking for right there. As soon as he moved that right front foot, I let slack come in that rope and let him have his time there. Yes, his mother's baby's pacifying there. That's why she's in here. So, but I'm still, you know, 8 feet away from him. I haven't got a halter on him yet, but we've got the beginning stages. So I try to stay off to one side, because when I'm directly beside a horse, I have the advantage of leverage. I have the advantage of being able to see what's going on better. When I'm directly in front of them, I won't put any pressure on them there. When I'm directly behind them, I won't put much pressure on them there, but a little bit. But when I'm beside him here, and I come up here and I pull on that lead rope just a little bit, there, see that hip move? You might not have been able to see there, but his hip moved away from me. I put just a little bit of pressure on the halter when I get beside him. Hold that pressure. I'm holding and waiting. See that hip move right there? As soon as that hip moves, he's up against the wall right there, so his hip is locked right now. I'm waiting on him to move his hip to the left, to his left. If I pull too hard here, he's gonna probably try to pull me off down there to that corner. But if I just stay steady and I meet him with the resistance that he's offering, he'll find a way to get settled. See him settling right there? I'm gonna step back here behind his shoulder just slightly. I'm applying just a little bit of pressure to his neck, and I'm waiting for his hip. I'm waiting for his hip to move away from me. I'm going to help him a little bit. I'm going to touch him here. Oop. Yep, when he felt like he had to leave, I didn't try to hold him there. I just waited. He didn't give me the step I was wanting. I'm looking for that hip to move away from me on this side. Reason being is if that hip, he's up against the gate, that's what's keeping him from moving his hip. There it is right there. Now you see him kind of instinctively go out there and face up, because that's that defensive posture that I talk about horses getting into all the time, that I don't mind, but I've got to recognize it for what it is. This is not the end all where we've arrived at anything. Yeah, he's looking at me, but he's standing there thinking I can go left and right, I can get away from this guy anytime I want to. I'm going to get up here beside him again. I'm going to sit right here. I'm going to apply just a little bit of pressure. Again, he's up against it. He's close to this side back here. Now he's touching it. So he's going to use that as an excuse to not want to move his hip. I'm going to help him through here. I'm pushing on him just ever so slightly there to get him to move his hip away. You see him offering himself to me here? I'm letting him just smell me. So far, there's the hip. As soon as that hip moved away, I let him have release. A little bit of tension right there. He's thinking about going to the left with the front end, and I'm waiting on him. There we go. Didn't move his hip yet, but he moved the front end favorably. Nice again. Let's get that hip to move. Come on, buddy. Pushing on me with it. There it is. I'm going to come on this side and get a little bit working on this side. Walk back up here, wait, hold him right there if I can. And I don't want to, I can't put too much pressure on right there because he's turned completely away. There's his front end come back. I want that hip to move away from me here. I'm waiting on the hip. I'll use his mother for bait here and hold this slightly. The reason he's jumping is that he hears his mother's tail slapping me on the back here, and it's making a kind of a popping noise, and he didn't understand what that noise was, so he jumped right there because of the noise her tail was making on my back there. Get back on this other side over here. Wait, right there. There. Nice. What was nice about it is I applied just a little bit of pressure and he moved this foot right here towards me. The instant that he started to pick that foot up, I was ready to let slack come in this rope. I'm going to be still here because my talking creates energy, and it's harder when I'm running my mouth to be up here than it is for me to be quiet. So I'm going to be quiet here a second. So see that hip move? I recognize that hip move, so I let slack come in that lead rope right there. You see his ears kind of laid out there sideways, and he's looking at me a little bit like a turkey looking over a log here. He's not comfortable. He doesn't feel as comfortable as I like for him to be right in here, but he's not bad. He's not objecting terribly to me touching him. I've got to be able to get my hands up here on his head. It's ironic, I think, that these babies, the last place they want you to touch them when they're pristine, I mean they're acting like horses do, the last place they want you to touch them usually is on the face. You know, they'll kind of let you touch them back here on the body, but they do not want you in their face. So we have to kind of earn the right to touch them on the face by same kind of deal, approach and retreat. I'm touching. When he accepts, I retreat. I was pulling. I'm waiting on him here. There. Kind of reached over there and looked at that rope, so I let him feel slack right there. I'm just waiting here. I'm letting him feel me a little bit at a time. I'm not forcing myself on him. I'm coming in here gently. Now he's going to see my hand come down over his eye here in a minute. Timing is everything. Just as I was about to touch his nose, the wind picked up, and that's why he darted off right there. He darted off because the wind was out here whipping and blowing and got his attention. So I've got a halter in my hand now. And I'm going to come along beside him and see if I can get this halter. I'm going to just put it over my right arm. I've got the halter held in this fashion. I've got where I'm going to latch it to his face in my left hand, with both strands of the rope are in my left hand, and I'm going to come to him on the underneath side. Now, this rope in my hand might be too much. He might not be able to take it, so I'm gonna just touch. I like that. He came to me. I like that. I need to get my hand over his neck. I'm gonna just let this rope go out there so I don't have so much in my hand here right now. I'm coming right here, waiting on him. Okay. So we're going on with the haltering process here. Now I've got a halter in my hand that I didn't have before, and I'm just using this corner to kind of help me. I need to be able to touch him without him panicking, wanting to turn the wrong way, so I need his hip to move away from me here just a little bit right there. Okay, that little adjustment in his body will allow me to be able to stay right here with him. Now, see, as he's looking off, my right hand now is on the right side of his face. So when he looks right, he's actually starting to feel my right hand, which is helping me to keep him from turning his head away to the right. We'll set it up again. We'll go back down to that corner. Let this happen. I'm going to get this piece of rope right here. Okay, again, my right hand is on the right side of his body. I've got the halter. I want him to come stop here. I can't hold him, but I can go with him. Just waiting for the opportunity. There. Kind of had an opportunity to slip that up over his nose, but I got, right now, the halter is not in, the nose piece is not, there it is right there. So now I've got his nose actually in the nose piece. waiting right here for him to let me tie this halter. Okay. Now, I'll take this rope off of his neck, slide it out over the halter, and I do have a halter on him, and I'm going to get this rope out of my way. Let me get this rope out of the way before I start doing anything. I'll just let him stand over there with the halter on while I gather this rope up and get it out of the way. This time that he's sitting there doing nothing, it's actually helping him to settle. And he's getting to see some movement around here and getting to experience life. Meanwhile, his mother's pacifying him, making this process go a little smoother than it might. This colt is not what you call halter broke. He's just got a halter on. So now then, the same thing that I was doing when I had the rope around his neck, I'll repeat here now. He's jammed up in that corner, so I know he's feeling it on the other side. He's up there because he's getting security off of that fence. So I'm going to come up here behind him, and I want him to step forward. When he stepped forward, I just put just enough resistance on his nose with that halter that he could move his hip away from me. And again, he come up there and he's got his hip up against the fence, so he's thinking, I can't move my hip. There, it moved real nicely. There, it moved real nicely. I want him to just come, there we go. As the hip moves away and I walk with the hip, his front end will automatically follow me. So I'm not having to pull on him to get him to lead. I'm coming back here, I'm pulling just enough where there's a little bit of resistance in his face, and I'm asking him to move his hip. You see the slack come in the rope there when he made that? And then he came to that defensive posture, seeking relief. So right now I'm using a defensive posture as a tool to work in my favor. I'm going to come on this side here, and I'm applying just a little bit of pressure on the side of his face, and I'm see him starting to come with me right there. Notice that I'm facing away from his head, and I'm facing his tail, and as I walk back here, and when that hip moves, he's putting slack in that lead rope. So this is a very effective way of halter breaking anything. It doesn't matter how old the horse is, the concept will work every time. When you hold fast to a clear mental picture of what you want and then arrange it to where that becomes the easiest thing for them to do. I've actually used this technique to halter break cattle. I've broke bulls that weighed, well over 1,000 pounds that never been haltered in a similar manner, because it's not a breaking process, it's a thinking process. And we're arranging ourselves to where the front of the animal coming to us is the easiest path. And an animal, given the opportunity, will always take the path of least resistance. And see, it hasn't been a flop around, fish out of water experience for this colt. He hasn't been numb to oblivion with over human stimulation. He's a horse acting as a horse does, and I'm just out here trying my best to show him that I'm not here to hurt him and communicate with him so that I start to have some control over his feet. When I apply just a little bit of pressure on that lead rope right there, Now wait, and there comes his feet, and there goes the hip. You see that instantaneous release? This is something that will, you'll actually do with the horse every time you catch him from now on the rest of his life. So I feel like it's a very important stage and needs to be handled with deliberate thought, with a clear mental picture, and a plan in mind. And like I said, this is a technique. It's not, you know, there's more than one way to get to it, and I use some different techniques as well, but this one has worked well for me. Thank you very much.